everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Nothing But Locks podcast. I'm your host, Ali Melnicki, accompanied by my favorite coworker, Robert Kowalski. How are you doing today, Robert?
Ali, I'm doing great, thanks.
Let's make sense of yesterday, because I walked into the bar that's down the street from my parents' house I've been going to since I was a kid, and from probably the first drive I witnessed, and you could hear me in the bar shouting after Devonta Smith made that catch. That wasn't a catch even before I saw the review. And then it didn't get challenged. I thought that was going to be one of the craziest plays of the day. And then after watching two games of football, that was one of the least crazy plays of the game. So why don't you go first? What did you witness yesterday between these four teams?
I think I honestly didn't think that I was going to look, as we all know, going back to way, many months ago and episodes ago. Which, by the way, Ali, what number episode are we doing
Yes,
right now?
100. I should have mentioned that. We have hit episode 100. Robert, it's really been a pleasure this past year, I should say. We started a little over a year ago. I feel like every episode we could just talk for hours and hours. Now that we finally get to meet each other, our next episode will be live in Miami, so I'm very excited about that.
Ta-da! There we go. That's my homemade fanfare for episode number 100. Thank you all so much for joining us on our weekly sojourns, sometimes twice a week sojourns into the thing that is all of incredible sports betting. Yesterday, without a doubt, this to witness what happened yesterday is to say you hit bingo probably 10 cards in a row with some of the chaos that ensued, and everyone knows how addicted to chaos I am. I thought that the catch from the beginning, right there with Devonta Smith along the sideline, I really said, "You sure? You sure that's a catch?" And I'm like starting to get like this. It happens with me with soccer when I watch soccer and I see a goal scored, and my initial instinct is, yeah, all right, celebrate, it's a goal. And I'm like, no, is someone offside? Check if someone's offside first before I go crazy. And it's really kind of like taken a lot of the excitement out of watching soccer for me in some instances. And this is when I'm saying, wait, it's got to be a penalty, right? It's got to be called back. Oh, that touchdown that was scored? Nah, there's got to be holding on to some offensive tackle or guard, right? Well, that definitely didn't look like a catch to me. I mean, look, I don't know. I suppose that there's plenty of other things that we could have witnessed that said, were there other weird occurrences, but the whole game was just so weird. I mean, why didn't they review the cable getting hit by a punt? There's so many ridiculous things that happened in that Eagles-Niners game just to start off there, Allie.
Yeah, it was really insane. I know. Well, let's get straight into the games, and let's start with that 49ers and Eagles game. Because, Robert, I'm one that I don't like to always blame the refs. I feel like one or two misplays, there was probably five or six misplays that we just didn't get, hyper into on TV. There's always a hold on just about every play. There's always some kind of contact that could easily be called a foul. But watching that 49ers game, especially that drive where there must have been like five defensive pass interference or illegal contact calls in a row. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. The roughing the kicker was one of the most egregious plays I think I watched. And I'm just shocked that the Eagles had pretty much no holding calls, offense or defense. It baffled me how poorly called that game was. And I know that Brock Purdy was out, Josh Johnson got hurt. There was a lot more that went into San Francisco losing, but I thought the refs did one of the poorest jobs I've seen in a conference championship game. What do you think?
It's tough. And look, if you're going to swallow the whistle, just swallow it completely. Just stand there and make it look like the game is going to be enforced with referees and officials, but go both ways, right? Please,
Yep.
just swallow it completely whole everywhere. If you want to not call holding, don't call holding. You don't want to call all kinds of penalties that can be seen from the comfort of a TV or somewhere in a pub, then don't do it. Just be consistent with it, right? Um, and looking at the numbers now it's almost impossible, uh, because obviously of what happened to Josh Purdy early, and then obviously Josh Johnson late. Um, Eagles won with only 269 yards of offense, Sally. But they had 70 plays, right? 70 plays versus 45. Outrushed the Niners 148 to 81. Didn't see that one really coming. How about the red zone touchdown percentage? 4 touchdowns in 6 attempts. And the 49ers never made it into the red zone. That is one I didn't see. And I also didn't see the Niners coughing the ball up 3 times versus 0, and the Niners having those 2 fourth down failures.
It's crazy because the second half, me and my brother, we went to another bar that was in the town next to us because we wanted a little livelier crowd. And it was packed in there. I'd say it was half Eagles fans, half 49ers, which is odd for New Jersey. I didn't think that there was going to be that many 49ers fans. But to me, the bar, whether you're an Eagles fan or not, even at one point, the Eagles fans were laughing at all the penalties that were getting thrown. And I was talking to an Eagles fan that was sitting not too far from me, and even he was saying, man, this has been one of the easiest wins for our offense. They literally had to do nothing. Jalen Hurts, Robert, if he does, take away that drop, take away that catch that was really a drop by Devonta Smith, I think it was 35 yards. Jalen Hurts throws for only 80 yards in that game. It would take away that pass. If you were to tell me that Jalen Hurts is only going to throw for 120 yards he did, I would have been like, wow, he must have a terrible game. How much did the Niners win by? I mean, he did not look good at all. I thought there was definitely at least 3 or 4 interceptions that looked like they were either dropped by the Niners or there was a call that could have negated it. I just didn't think that the Eagles offense was impressive at all. They looked rattled from the beginning. They were helped out immensely. I couldn't believe Kyle Shanahan didn't challenge that call. At least take a timeout and allow yourself. The minute Devonta Smith jumped up, I was like, he's rushing the play because he didn't catch it. So I think it was a poorly coached game by Kyle Shanahan. Yes, Brock Purdy got injured. You had to deal with Josh Johnson. But this was a game I just don't think I could look at and say the Eagles were the better team. Can you?
No, thank you. I mean, look, we discussed the game, and I said that the Niners not only were my pick, I thought they were my pick for the Super Bowl. But look, what do you expect? Purdy threw 3 passes before injuring his elbow, and Josh Johnson, who's the team's number 4 quarterback, was put into concussion protocol after 13 passes, 2 sacks, and a lost fumble. Right, so they bring Purdy back. He's unable to throw. You could tell. Right, even though he did add that 1 completion in just what was the second half, that was absolutely useless. So the Eagles, look, they had 3 nice long touchdown drives, right? One that was 66 yards and 75 yards and then 91 yards. But they really didn't do much else otherwise. You mentioned Hurts, 15 of 25, 121 yards, suggesting to me he's really not all the way back. Right? I guess we could go ahead and give credit where it's due to the Eagles' clean play and their red zone excellence, but I don't think that Eagles fans should be running through the streets of Philadelphia, saying that was we're the greatest. You really okay. You guys won, obviously, or you're in the NFC. You're the NFC champions, but Ali, I'd like to see that game with a 100% Purdy for the whole game. I really would.
And let's also talk about Josh Johnson. Besides the fumble, and which was huge, it was so costly, and the sacks, he had 5 delay of game penalties. Like I couldn't believe this guy was a 16-year veteran, and he can't snap the ball. That brings my next question. I remember, Robert, when the Panthers put Baker Mayfield on waivers after they released him. And we kind of talked would the 49ers pick him up. Do you think they come to regret that decision? Because I have to be honest with you, Robert, if Baker Mayfield was going in that game yesterday for the 49ers instead of Josh Johnson, I would have felt 1,000 times better. What do you think?
Josh Johnson clearly showed that he wasn't ready. He looked. I want to be nice. I want to be nice today. It's not fair to just trash and just burn, scorch the earth. I don't think he was ready to play. I don't think he expected to play this year. Um, I don't think that the coaching staff and the executive team thought that there was in any way that lightning can strike a third time and they'd have to go to a fourth string quarterback. And yet, again, chaos. Here we are, right? You're to your fourth string quarterback, and it just so happens to be on the NFC Championship game. Um, I just I said that look, if they just play Kyle Shanahan's system, everything was going to be fine. Let's go ahead and put that group of people way out to pasture right now, because no, there is a way to ruin Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme. If you have someone at quarterback that's just incapable of playing. Josh Johnson is I don't know if he's ready for playing on the field football. I think at this point you should start considering him for a coaching position. To be honest, Allie, that's just me being as nice as I can be right now.
One last thing on the Niners, then we'll talk a little bit more about the Eagles. But one of the lasting images I remember they were showing on the television was Jimmy G sitting on the sideline and just smiling. I know the camera probably caught him mid-action talking to something or someone, but can we finally close the door on Jimmy G coming back to San Francisco next year, Robert?
I will 100% close the door. I agree with you. I think that he's ready to move on to a new franchise and hopefully in his eyes and in the franchise that's going to sign him's eyes, meet the Niners in the NFC Championship or in the playoffs. That's for sure.
So one last thing. I know I said that was the last thing, but who's the starter for the San Francisco 49ers week 1 next year? Is it Trey Lance or is it Brock Purdy?
Ooh, the starter. Well, I obviously they'll both be on the roster, right? Let's go with that. I don't see them trading one or two of them. If I'm Shanahan, I'm gonna just go and give everyone equal opportunity with the first team, and whoever's the most electric after preseason, that's gonna be my starter.
All right. What about the Eagles, Robert? We talked about how we weren't impressed with the offense, and the defense did play magnificent. I mean, Hassan Reddick on that strip fumble that he had on Purdy that ended Purdy's game. They were just a force to be reckoned with that game. And you also can, as much credit as you have to give them, once Josh Johnson came in and then once he got concussed, they didn't have to do much. They pretty much stacked the box. They had 6 guys lined up. They knew they were just running it. They knew that there was no way Ayuk was going to get the ball or Kittle or anything. But can this defense stop Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? What do you think?
No, they can't stop Patrick Mahomes, but I think that they can stop Pacheco and that crowd in the running back room. I think that the Eagles' front 7 is vastly better than the Bengals' front 7. And if the Bengals were able to stop any kind of a rush attack on Kansas City, I think the Eagles are going to be far superior. Again, Mahomes got maximum science to get ready for yesterday's game against the Bengals, and he's going to get maximum science in these next 13 days to get ready for the Eagles. And I expect him to be more mobile than he was yesterday. I just don't think that he's going to be back 100% from a high ankle sprain. But we saw plenty of shotgun, and I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to stop that in any way.
Well, we saw what the Philadelphia Eagles looked like when they faced an elite defense. And that was, they couldn't do much. Jalen Hurts was constantly pressured. He was overthrown, like he overthrew AJ Brown. He wasn't really on target. He actually got helped out a lot by his receivers. Obviously, the Devonta Smith catch that should have been a no catch, but even the play before it was third and long, and AJ Brown caught a pass that should have. I thought it hit the ground at first. It didn't, but he was kind of inaccurate. But when this defense, when they face the 49ers offense is nowhere near the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. And who knows the Eagles better than the coach that coached them for years, and that's Andy Reid. I know it's a whole different system now, but still, you're always going to be familiar with the team you used to coach. Can Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes find a way to penetrate this defense and expose them? What do you think?
I say yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Look, it's Andy Reid, right? He's he's on my, he's on my Mount Rushmore. He should be on yours. And to be honest, with the game plan that they put out, look, it had to be limited, right? It had to factor in that Mahomes wasn't going to have full mobility. And because of that, we saw a ton of shotgun sets with the ton of shotgun sets that they had. And not to mention the amount of who was left inside the wide receiver room. They really had a limited amount to throw to. So for them to be able to put up, into the 20-point range, that's Andy Reid.
Yeah.
That really is. And obviously the incredible talent that is Mahomes. So yeah, I see it happening, Ali. I know I might just be starting to show my hand here a little bit before the poker match. But yeah, I really do think that Kansas City won't have too many problems figuring out the liabilities of the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
Yeah, and we'll get into our picks next week too. But yeah, I think I'm showing my hands a little bit as well because I'm agreeing with you. All right, well, let's move on to those Bengals and the Chiefs game. This was another game that I thought I had seen it all in the Niners and the Eagles, and then I saw the Bengals in the Chiefs game. A third down was pretty much rewound back and saying it didn't count, which I was baffled why. There was a no call, a big no call, a roughing the passer on Joe Burrow, which I didn't understand why. And then you had the most boneheaded play of the game when the last offensive play for the Chiefs, 15-yard penalty. Patrick Mahomes was running out of bounds. Joseph Osai just hits him for no reason. I couldn't believe I was home by then, Robert, and I literally stood up and said, "I'm going to bed." I mean, because again, I'm on the East Coast this weekend, and 9:30. But then I stood up in the hall, watched the field goal, and then I didn't even watch the last failed lateral of the kickoff. I was that disgusted. I was just so off with picking the Niners and the Bengals. But did the refs doom the Bengals too, Robert, or was it more of this game? What do you think?
Right, it's as we look at it now, and just if. And I really did watch this as nonpartisan as I could. Our book was pretty much, going to look, pretty good no matter which way the result went, whether it was going to be Bengals by, a field goal or Chiefs by field goal. It really didn't matter. But I really questioned a lot of the calls that were happening in the fourth quarter. There was some, I mean, how about the extra third down for Kansas City that happened? That one was really one that I was really scratching my head over. Aside, look, that was terrible, right? And then going to him afterwards and, focusing on him in the, on the bench after the game. And no one needed to see that. We know he was upset. I don't know if it was heat of the moment. Clearly he wanted to get him out of bounds and ensure that they were going to have as difficult a field goal attempt because that's the range they were looking in. And, leading up to it, Ali, I mean, look, it was as close as a game as you could possibly want, right? Really short yardage. I guess from Kansas City's perspective, they were held, I guess we could use that word, to 357 yards of total offense, clipped 50% of their third downs. Turnovers, obviously, we saw the 2 turnovers from Kansas City, including Mahomes' first fumble in the postseason ever. Rushing, this is the one that I'm kind of concerned about. Cincinnati, of course, won the battle on the ground, 71 yards to 42. Uh, and basically from the entirety of the fourth quarter, it was tied 2020. So I think, did they doom the Bengals? No, I'll say no, but I definitely am going to be scratching my head about the roughing the passer and definitely that the extra third down alley.
Yeah, those are two that are obviously going to stick in your head. I too think that it wasn't as egregious as the game before. It was pretty much even on both sides. There were obviously the Bengals, I think, got shafted a little bit too much, and there's no question that last unnecessary roughness, he had no business hitting Patrick Mahomes out of bounds. But to me, this was both games, Robert. I just was so excited to watch each of them, and at the end of by the time I went to bed at night, I just felt like I wasted away watching two games that were forgettable. Would you have the same sentiment?
Oh, no, I didn't. Taking a step back right now, Ali, I suppose, our whole gig is sports betting, right? And so someone's always going to have something to watch, even if it's down to the last second involving the total or a player prop or something. Uh, I do feel, just a little bit of remorse, a little bit of buyer's remorse into getting all riled up and whipped into a
Yeah.
frenzy about Eagles and Niners. That one sucked. It wasn't a game. It wasn't a game. Obviously, like I said, congratulations, Eagles. You're in the Super Bowl, but who did you really beat in that game? Um, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Yeah, you're right. You might feel a little cheated if you're backing Cincinnati. Maybe a lot cheated. But I think at the end, I was just really interested to see if Burrow was going to be able to overcome everything that was thrown in his way. And heck, he had multiple opportunities, except the whistle was his worst enemy at that point, Allie.
And I have to ask you that because it's one of the reason I had backed the Bills last week over the Bengals. I was concerned about Joe Burrow's lack of mobility, and he took some rough sacks, especially in the first quarter, Robert. I remember he took like back-to-back sacks on one of the first drives the Bengals had. Is his lack of mobility concerning? What do you think?
Yeah, so which one is it then, Ali? Is it his lack of mobility, which we know he has, that's for sure, even though he picked up that key third down conversion with his own legs. I think that was like at one point the most rush yards for the Bengals in the game up until that point. Or is it his offensive line just not giving him time? I didn't really think of the Chiefs as this powerhouse pass rushing kind of a defense. Outside of Jones, number 95, who was, really, really just, a terror from the left side. I actually think that if we were looking at faults, it would probably be from the offensive line. Couldn't protect the quarterback, couldn't give him enough time, Burrow enough time. And I mean, look, 42 yards of rushing. Yeah, almost half of them went to Burrow.
Yeah, it really just wasn't a good showing, especially after they did so well that line with the backups against the Bills the previous week. I want to ask you, let's focus on the Chiefs now because they did win the game. They were favored. But we talked about this last week, Robert. Who would you rather have, Joe Burrow or Pat Mahomes? Both you and I said Joe Burrow. But with Pat Mahomes winning yesterday, with how he played with the high ankle sprain, I know he was taped up like there was no tomorrow. But is there any doubt that he is the best in the game? What do you think?
No, there is no doubt. Who else can scan a field and spot a opening that's yet to come? Better than him right now, and all with all methods of getting the ball. I mean, whether it's overhands, laterals, sidearm, pitched, no look. He's done it all, and obviously it really didn't matter who he's throwing it to. It's a lot of times I was looking at, I'm looking at you, Jerick McKinnon. You should have picked up that ball, even though they won the game. There's just little key plays here or there that they could have had even more. receptions made, if not for some drops, by the targets that Mahomes is throwing to. So he is truly, the number one with a bullet right now. You're right, Allie.
And I know we touched on this just a few minutes ago, but Andy Reid going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. That's another thing. I hate the week in between. I feel like the Super Bowl should be the following week. There shouldn't be a 2 week break. I know from playing sports, I hated the rust. I wanted to just get it done. I didn't like buys or anything, but that's for another day. Andy Reid going up against the Eagles, Robert. Who do you give the edge coaching wise to? Because Nick Sirianni has really come and made a name for himself. Does Andy Reid still get the coaching crown over him? What do you think?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Uh, until Sirianni can beat Reid here in the Super Bowl, that's just going to be the way it's going to be, and it's rightfully so. I mean, that's the coaching tree, and obviously, if you want to get yourself to the top, then go ahead and beat the top. To me, it's Andy Reid that's clearly above all of it, and I'm just really excited to see which way they start to unfold the puzzles in just a couple of weeks.
I would say I would love to see what Patrick Mahomes could do if he had that offensive line that Jalen Hurts has. Then I don't think I think he sets every record in the book for a season if that's the case. But
Yes.
that's for another debate. All right. Well, those are the two games yesterday. As I mentioned, I was very underwhelmed. I felt like I was cheated out of both games. I did have fun out watching it. It's always nice to be at a bar and be around people and whatnot. But I felt like there were better AFC and NFC championships, particularly last year. I remember the Chiefs and the Bengals last year, and that overtime game was phenomenal. And I remember the 49ers and the Rams was another good game. This year I felt like we were wasted. But well, let me ask your opinion, Robert, before we move on to our buy or sell segment, because I brought that up. I don't like the week off in between the Super Bowl. Do you like it, or would you rather the Super Bowl be this weekend?
Hell no. Bring on the Super Bowl the week after.
Yeah.
This weekend, in between is useless. It creates a disconnect, and everyone's super hungry to watch the champions face off each other in a shorter amount of time. This doesn't make any sense at all for any reason. For what? It's not for rest. No one cares about rest. Well, some may do. Kansas City probably cares about it, but I can't find, if we do a poll on Twitter and asks, do we prefer the break in between the championship weekend and the Super Bowl, or roll right into it? I'll wager you a nice tall drawn macchiato that it's very heavily in favor of rolling straight into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. In fact, I'm going to run a Twitter poll either later today or tomorrow and ask that. But I also think that the day after the Super Bowl should be a holiday. And I learned from several Super Bowls ago that I did it my last 2 or 3 years when I worked at Fox Sports. I always took off the day after the Super Bowl, and I made sure to request it weeks in advance so no one would think that I called in sick because I had too much fun partying on the Super Bowl. But I always would take the day off. Do you think the day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday?
I've already requested Allie to our boss that Monday. I'm not answering to any Slack, not picking up the phone. I'm going to be deep, far away from anything, as that's going to be my first day off in many, many months.
We will bring that up to Mark on the company. Add that to the list of holidays. No, I think listen, everyone watches the Super Bowl. And for us living on the West Coast, we have a little easier of a time because the game starts at 3:30 and it's usually over anytime between 6:30 and 7.
Yeah,
But on
yeah.
the East Coast, that's brutal. You got to stay up to 9:30, 10. You literally have to wait all day for it to start by 6:30. I know my friends that live on the East Coast say it's hard to stop drinking before 6:30 because then they're ready to like pass out by halftime. But yeah, I think that the Super Bowl actually should be a little earlier, make it 2 p.m. on the West Coast, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, like you would a Monday Night Football game. So, well, it would be 5 p.m. on the West Coast for a Monday Night Football game. But I think it should be 5 p.m. on the East Coast start time. I don't like the 6:30 on the East Coast, but I'm not Roger Goodell and I don't make the rules. So Tough break for me. All right, let's get into our buy or sell segment, Robert, before we conclude the episode for today. You ready?
I thought you'd never ask.
All right. Buy or sell. Jimmy G will be the Raiders starter in week 1.
I love these. These are, to me, this slides right into my wheelhouse. I know he's going to be a starter in week 1. The question is going to be where. So I'm going to play the odds here in my favor, Allie, and I'm going to sell Jimmy G a Raider starter in week number 1. He's going to be a starter somewhere. Just, I'm gonna play the odds here and think it might be someplace else. That's all.
I'm going to sell as well. If you look at that AFC West, you have the King, which is the Chiefs up there. The Chargers were a playoff team. The Broncos may be better now that they're going to be in the market for a new head coach. But if I'm Jimmy G, I'm looking at that NFC South. Brady's definitely not returning to the Bucks. That might be an option. You also have Carolina still going to be in the market for a quarterback. You have the Saints are going to be in a market for a quarterback. Why don't you go to one of those teams? Even Atlanta might be looking for a quarterback. Obviously, you don't need a winning record to win that division. So if I'm Jimmy G, I'm looking at one of those 4 teams there. All right, next one, Robert. Buy or sell. DeMeco Ryan will be named the head coach of the Texans in the next week or so.
Excellent. This is great. Yeah, I could see the connections there. This one's going to be hard for me to sell, but I will nonetheless. I think that I think he's going to be a head coach coming into 2023. I don't know if Houston is going to be a great fit, but I guess we'll see what the wallets say. I certainly, first off, I certainly hope that DeMeco Ryans gets the gig someplace. He deserves it for what he's done. I know for certain if I'm starting a franchise, I'd want him for sure as my head coach because of what he's done in San Francisco. You'll always reach into the coffers of where success lies. But I'm going to sell again just for the sake that I like my field.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I'm thinking hey, why not go to the Denver Broncos? You're a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
The Denver Broncos have one of the best defenses in the game. I'm looking there. I even think Indy might be a more favorable spot. You still have an underrated defense there. So I'm with you. I'm going to sell the Texans. I think they need a little bit more focus on their offense than on the defense. So I'm going to sell. All right. Next one, Robert. Buy or sell. All deep passes will be up for automatic review next season.
Oh my God, please no. My heart's gonna decide this purchase, and I'm gonna sell the hell out of it. Don't do that to me. If that happens, I'm gonna be so depressed. I don't want to see anything like that. Just play the game. I know there's so much skullduggery happening from the moment the ball is snapped and then first contact and then down the lines. Not for nothing, by the way. It's 2023. Can we start using some of this technology and stop it? I don't want to digress too much. Like, really, we still need to take out, chains and like measure with like eyes and fingers, see if it's a first down, or even if it's a catch. Like, we can't put like sensors in balls and on the players that are basically you don't even feel them to see if a ball is caught or if there is pass interference before the ball reaches. I don't know. Let's go. I mean, it's time. Let's get some technology in here. So all deep passes up for review next season. I'm going to sell the hell out of that. How about you, Allie?
I'm selling it 1,000%. I said the same thing when they tried to review, what was it? The pass interference calls. I said it never will work. It didn't work. So I agree. No, we don't need any more replays. And I agree with you, technology. There's no reason why there shouldn't be someone on there shouldn't be one eye on every angle in the game. And you could quickly, in 10 seconds or less, radio down to the field saying, hey, that wasn't a catch. I don't understand it. All right, Robert, next one. Buy or sell. Eric Bieniemy will finally get a head coaching job this season.
Oh my God. And on episode number 100 for us, please, Eric, I'm telling you right now, if I call the franchises myself. I am buying this. He must be a head coach someplace look at what he's done with all of his pieces. Yeah, sure. The detractors might say, well, I could probably do the same thing with Patrick Mahomes, but the fact of the matter is that he is able to put together a game plan and defeat anything that he sees in front of him, no matter what the depth chart says. Love Eric Bieniemy, love everything that he's done. I'm buying this. He's getting a head coach job coming up in 2023.
I agree with you. I think the Colts would be a great fit for him. Let him bring in a quarterback that he can work with. They have a good running game with Jonathan Taylor. They have some talented wideouts behind rookie Alec Pierce. You have Michael Pittman still there, Paris Campbell. So I think that would be a great fit for him. All right, last one, Robert. Buy or sell? Arrowhead Stadium will never again be referred to as Burrowhead.
Get the hell out of here with that. You know what? You know what this is? This is with a 100-mile head start of steam. This is the karma train hitting you all, right? With calling it Burrowhead. Enough. Get out of here with that. I never want to hear that again. Everything that was due came in on this game. And if you want to call it happened because of the referees or because of you calling it Burrowhead, that's for you guys all to decide. I'm going to absolutely buy. Never again shall we hear the term Burrowhead.
No, and I don't ever want to hear Tampa Bay too. When Tom Brady went there, and
get out of here with that too.
Tampa Bay, I was like, people need to find more things to do in their day than come up with that stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
All right, well, that is our episode for today, Robert. 100th episode. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you this week. Robert and I will be live from Miami on Thursday. We'll have a nice episode recorded. I think we'll have some cameo appearances by our wonderful CEO, Mark Thomas. Probably one or two other of our coworkers will join. And before we sign off, Robert, any last words or advice for the audience?
Oh, no, absolutely. Look, here, as we now enter Super Bowl week, your preferred book of choice, which I sure hope is going to be Zen Sports soon, is going to have a ton of propositions up for this game. And we'll talk far, far more as we head into, the weeks ahead and the episodes ahead into how I come up with my props here and just how we come about with our numbers. So take your time with it. Think about what you're about to see and definitely play into all of the injury reports as they come into this final game of the football season.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I do like seeing all the props. I will admit I'm not a huge prop better where it comes in for the Super Bowl, but I do make some fun ones. I don't touch the national anthem one. I don't like choices like that. But one bet, Robert, I always like to bet the prop bet is the color Gatorade that the head coach gets hosed with at the end. That's always a prop bet I will make. Do you have any ones in particular you like?
How about one that I just put up just yesterday? How about the octopus?
Oh, yeah.
Created by a friend of the program, Mitch Goldich of SI. This is where a player scores a 6-point touchdown and then the ensuing 2-point conversion. 8 points, 8 arms. It's called the octopus. By the way, if you're getting anything less than 20-1, shame on that book. I offered 20-1 on both of the games, and that's definitely one of my favorite novelty props to put up. And you can guarantee you'll see it here at a little old book here at Baldini's.
All right. Well, Robert and I will be back Thursday. I think we'll do some prop bets, Robert. I think we'll start to, because there's going to be a lot to dissect. I think we'll need multiple episodes. So we'll get into some prop bets this week. And then next week, we'll give you a full rundown of the game. I know there's going to be a ton to talk about. All right, everyone. Take care.